The Greeks had filled their ships with gold and captive women, thinking they were rich. But as they pushed their oars into the water, the wind felt like a trap. They had won the war, but in the blood of that night, they had made themselves into something the world would no longer tolerate. The wreckage followed them into the deep. But for the High King of the Greeks, the sea allowed a safe crossing. The waves were calm, the wind was steady. The gods let Agamemnon sail all the way back to the rocky shores of Mycenae. They let him live, because they knew something worse was waiting for him at home. For 10 years, the city of Mycenae had sat in a heavy, suffocating silence. It was a fortress built of stone so massive that men believed giants had stacked them. It was designed to keep out armies, but walls of stone cannot keep out a curse. Inside the high palace, Queen Clytemnestra had waited a decade. She did not weep for her absent husband. She held the throne, watched the gates, and let her grief harden into stone. 10 years earlier, before the ships could even leave for Troy, the wind had died. To buy the breeze, Agamemnon had taken their eldest daughter, Iphigenia. He gagged her so she could not curse him, placed her on an altar and cut her throat. He traded his child's blood for a favorable wind. Agamemnon viewed the sacrifice as the hard price of war. Clytemnestra knew it was a murder. In the ancient world, blood spilled within the family does not wash away. It sinks into the floorboards. It demands repayment. Then, on a dark night, the watchman on the roof of Mycenae saw a spark on the horizon. A beacon fire. Then another, leaping from mountain to mountain across the sea. Troy had fallen. The king was coming home. When Agamemnon's chariot rolled through the lion gate of Mycenae, his armor caught the fierce light of the sun. Behind him rolled wagons heavy with Trojan gold. Bound to his chariot was the ultimate prize, the prophetess Cassandra, daughter of the Trojan king, dragged across the sea as a slave. The citizens of Mycenae gathered in the dust, silent. They looked at their king, and they looked at the heavy timber doors. The doors swung open. Clytemnestra walked out into the sunlight. She praised the gods for her husband's return, speaking loudly so the city could hear her loyalty. Her voice was smooth, hiding the blade she had sharpened for 10 years. Then, she ordered the servants to unroll a path from the chariot to the palace doors. It was a tapestry of deep, bruised crimson. Woven with the crushed shells of sea snails, the dye was impossibly rare, meant only for the statues of the gods. It looked like a river of fresh blood spilling from the dark throat of the house, pooling at the wheels of the chariot. "Step down, my lord," she commanded gently. "Let not your foot, which has trampled Troy, touch the common dirt." Agamemnon hesitated. To walk upon the sacred crimson was an act of supreme hubris. It was a claim to divinity, the exact pride that made the heavens reach down and break a man's spine. He refused. He feared the jealousy of the gods. But Clytemnestra knew how to break him. She asked if Priam, the dead king of Troy, would have feared the silk. Agamemnon looked at the dirt. He looked at the blood-red path. He took off his heavy leather boots. Barefoot, the conqueror of Troy stepped onto the crimson silk. The fabric swallowed the sound of his feet. He did not look back. He walked straight into the shadow of the house, leaving the sunlight behind forever. Outside, the chariot remained. Cassandra, the captive prophetess, sat shivering in the heat. Apollo had cursed her to see the future, but to never be believed. Now, staring at the palace, the vision broke her. She did not see stone walls. She smelled old, rotting meat. She began to scream. She wailed that the house breathed murder. She saw a net. She saw an axe. She saw her own blood mixing with the king's. The citizens standing around the chariot tried to calm her, thinking she was simply a broken girl mourning her lost city. They did not understand that she was narrating an execution happening on the other side of the wall. Cassandra stopped screaming. The trap was already closed. She stepped down from the chariot, walked across the crushed red silk, and passed through the doors to join the dead. Deep inside the palace, Agamemnon had stripped off the bronze armor that had protected him for a decade. The house was quiet. The servants had prepared a warm, deep bath of beaten silver. He stepped into the water. For the first time in 10 years, he let his guard down. He closed his eyes. He never saw Clytemnestra enter the room. She carried a heavy woven net, a hunting tool meant to trap beasts. Before the king could open his eyes, she threw the heavy mesh over his head. Agamemnon thrashed in the water, but the net caught his arms, binding him tight against his own body. The man who had commanded 1,000 ships, who had burned a civilization to ash, was reduced to a tangled, helpless animal slipping on wet silver. Clytemnestra raised a heavy, double-bladed axe. She struck him once. The king groaned, a terrible, muffled sound from beneath the wet cloth. She struck him a second time. His legs gave out and he collapsed into the bloody water. She struck him a third time, offering the final blow as a dark prayer to the gods of the underworld. Blood sprayed across her face, hot and dark. She did not wash it off. She stood over the corpse, breathing the heavy air. This was not a murder. It was justice. When the palace doors opened again, the red carpet was gone. There was only the queen, flanked by her lover, Aegisthus. She stood before the horrified elders of the city and pointed to the bodies of Agamemnon and Cassandra, wrapped in the bloody net. She dared anyone to challenge her. No one moved. Clytemnestra believed she had carved the sickness out of the house. She had secured the throne and seized control of her fate. But blood in the ancient world does not wash clean. It only drips down to the next generation. Somewhere in the hills, far from Mycenae, her young son Orestes was growing up. The gods were already writing his terrifying inheritance. The axe had fallen, but the curse was only taking a breath. The debt of Troy was paid, but the blood debt of Mycenae had just begun. If you want to see exactly how this bloodline curse rips the next generation apart, hit subscribe and ring the bell. The story of Orestes and the Furies is next. We dive deep into the darkest corners of myth every single week. Don't miss it.